99% of the advice you have been fed about female attraction is a complete and utter scam, engineered to keep you distracted. You have been manipulated into believing that you need a massive bank account, exotic cars, or a heavily scripted routine to capture a beautiful woman's attention. That is a lie. The brutal, unspoken truth of human biology is that a woman determines your exact value in the sexual marketplace within 3 seconds of you entering her field of vision. She calculates your worth long before your vocal cords even vibrate. There is an ancient, hidden biological algorithm running in her subconscious brain, and right now, your nonverbal cues are failing the code. But there is one invisible trigger, a psychological paradox I will reveal at the very end of this exact video, that permanently rewires how high-value women perceive you. It flips her internal algorithm completely in your favor. And this is where most people fail entirely. They try to hack the system using words, completely ignoring the fact that verbal communication is the absolute weakest form of influence. If your physical presence radiates desperation, no cleverly rehearsed pickup line will ever save you from the friend zone. You are projecting weakness without even knowing it. The average man bleeds his value into the room the second he crosses the threshold. He does not own the space. He rents it. And women can smell that insecurity like blood in the water. We are going to destroy that habit today. You are going to learn how to weaponize your physical presence, manipulate your visual silhouette through precise garment architecture, and enforce a magnetic aura through aggressive behavioral restraint. This is about shifting her perception of reality instantaneously. Let us completely dismantle the illusion right now. The very first adjustment we must make is how you interact with the physical space around you. Most men walk into a social environment like prey, entering a territory controlled by predators. Your eyes dart around the room. You scan the environment looking for validation. You are subconsciously checking to see who is watching you. But here is the detail everybody misses. That micro movement of your eyes, that frantic scanning, immediately communicates that you are lower on the social hierarchy. You are seeking permission to exist in that space. A man of actual value does not seek permission. He simply occupies reality. When you walk through a door, your eyes must remain fixed on a singular trajectory. You do not look around to see if people are noticing you. You assume they are, and you simply do not care. Let us go deeper into your physical mechanics. Your nervous system is betraying you. When the average guy feels intimidated, his movements speed up. He talks faster. He reaches for his drink faster. He shifts his weight constantly. But this is exactly where the trap snaps shut. Speed is the universal language of panic. Urgency communicates a profound lack of options. If you want to instantly shift a woman's perception of your status, you must artificially decelerate your entire existence. You must move through the world as if you are moving through thick water. When you sit down, you take an extra 2 seconds to lower your frame into the chair. When someone calls your name, you do not snap your neck around like a frightened animal. You slowly rotate your torso. You bring your shoulders and your head around as one solid, unbreakable unit. And here is where the entire system flips upside down. It is the concept of spatial gravity. Weak men shrink their bodies to avoid taking up space. They fold their arms, they cross their legs tightly, they collapse their chest cavity. You are literally minimizing your physical footprint to avoid causing a disturbance. You must do the exact opposite. You expand. You let your arms rest widely. You plant your feet firmly. You allow your body to claim the maximum amount of reasonable territory. This is not about manspreading aggressively or acting like a cartoon alpha male. This is about absolute muscular relaxation combined with spatial dominance. When a woman looks at a man who is completely relaxed in a chaotic environment, her biological hardware immediately flags him as a protector. Calmness is the ultimate flex. Calmness implies that you have seen it all, handled it all, and nothing in this current environment poses a threat to your survival. That profound stillness generates a massive gravitational pull. She cannot help but feel intrigued by the man who refuses to react to the noise. Now we must address the absolute disaster that is your wardrobe. I am not talking about fashion trends. Fashion is a distraction for the insecure. I am talking about silhouette architecture. The clothes you wear are doing exactly one thing. They are either creating an illusion of genetic superiority, or they are highlighting your genetic flaws. The vast majority of men wear garments that actively sabotage their physical frame, and this is a catastrophic error in judgment. You believe that throwing money at designer logos will somehow mask your lack of physical presence. That is a massive delusion. A $500 shirt that fits poorly will make you look like a clown, while a $15 plain black t-shirt that is tailored perfectly will make you look like a cinematic icon. The entire goal of clothing is to visually engineer the V-taper. Broad shoulders, a structured chest, and a narrow waist. That is the only geometry a woman's primitive brain cares about. If your shirt hangs loose around your ribs, you have destroyed the taper. You look like a shapeless block. If the shoulder seams of your jacket droop down your bicep, you look like a child wearing his father's suit. You are signaling physical weakness. The seam of the shoulder must cut exactly where your collarbone meets your deltoid. It must create a sharp, distinct ledge. This implies structural integrity. Let us examine fabric tension. But the real problem lies much deeper than cotton and wool. When you wear clothing that pulls and stretches across your midsection, it screams a lack of discipline. When your pants pool in a massive pile of fabric around your ankles, it screams carelessness. Carelessness in your appearance translates directly to a perceived lack of capability in life. If you cannot manage the hem of your trousers, a woman instinctively knows you cannot manage a crisis. You must become utterly ruthless about your fit. Find a tailor. A tailor is the ultimate cheat code to instant attraction. You take everything you own and you have it sculpted to your exact skeletal dimensions. You want the fabric to graze your skin, to suggest the musculature underneath without screaming for attention. It must look completely effortless. You want her to look at you and assume you simply woke up looking sharp. But the real magic happens when the visual perfectly matches the physical. When your structured, perfectly fitted silhouette is combined with the slowed down, deliberate movements we just discussed, you become visually intoxicating. You become a walking piece of art. It creates a psychological anchor in her mind. She will not remember the specific brand of your shoes. She will only remember the overwhelming sense of masculine competence that you projected into the room. Now we arrive at the most critical phase of the interaction. You have captured her attention with your presence. You have validated her visual requirements with your silhouette. Now you must open your mouth. But this is exactly where the tragic downfall occurs for 99% of men. You ruin the entire setup by vomiting words. You overinvest. You try to prove how smart you are. You try to make her laugh. You act like a court jester performing for a monarch. You are actively trying to entertain her, to win her over, to convince her that you are worthy of her time. And in doing so, you instantly destroy the tension. Attraction does not survive in an environment of certainty. Attraction demands mystery. Attraction requires a vacuum. If you give her everything, there is nothing left for her to chase. You must master the devastating art of behavioral restraint. When you approach a woman, your opener should be ruthlessly simple. It should be almost boring. You do not need a magical pickup line. You simply state your intention and then you shut up. I saw you from across the room and I decided to come over. Period. Stop talking. And this is exactly why most guys get ghosted instantly. After you deliver that simple line, you apply a hard pause. You look directly into her eyes and you hold the silence. The average guy cannot endure 3 seconds of silence. His anxiety spikes, his brain panics, and he rushes to fill the void with a nervous joke or a stupid question. He bails her out of the tension. Never bail her out of the tension. You must learn to fall in love with the awkward silence. When you drop a statement and just look at her, the social pressure transfers entirely onto her shoulders. She now has to invest in the interaction. She has to figure out what to say. And when a woman starts working for your attention, the dynamic permanently shifts. She begins to qualify herself to you. But behavioral restraint goes far beyond just pausing. It dictates your entire emotional output. Most men are wildly overreactive. If she tests you, if she throws a subtle insult or disagrees with you, the average guy gets defensive. He tries to explain himself. He raises his voice. His emotional state is entirely dictated by her behavior. And this exposes your ultimate vulnerability. You must cultivate an aura of absolute emotional impermeability. You must become a vault. When she tries to provoke a reaction, you give her nothing but a slight, knowing smirk. You look at her as if she is a child throwing a tantrum in a supermarket. You are amused, but you are completely unaffected. You lean back. You let her words bounce off your armor. You show her that your internal reality is so fiercely protected that nothing she says can move your emotional needle. This level of stoic restraint is incredibly rare, and it is profoundly addictive to high-value women. It signals that you are an immovable object. You have mastered space. You have mastered form. You have mastered silence. But none of this works without the final piece of the puzzle I promised you at the very beginning. This is the psychological paradox that locks in her obsession forever. The ultimate key to instant nonverbal attraction is the genuine, internalized willingness to walk away at any given microsecond. It is the concept of non-reactive detachment. I am not talking about faking a busy schedule or pretending to look at your watch. I am talking about a deep, cellular belief that you do not need this interaction to go well. Every technique, every postural adjustment, every perfectly tailored shirt is completely useless if she senses that you are attached to the outcome. Women possess a terrifyingly accurate radar for desperation. If your physical stillness is just an act, if your silence is just a strategy to get her number, she will eventually smell the fraud. The invisible trigger is genuine apathy toward rejection. When you approach a woman, you must view the interaction as a fleeting experiment, not a life or death audition. You are simply gathering data. You step into her orbit, you observe her energy, and if it does not meet your exacting standards, you casually discard the interaction and vanish. When a woman senses that you are fully prepared to physically turn your back and leave without a single trace of regret, her biological imperative kicks into overdrive. The absolute lack of neediness is the ultimate aphrodisiac. It creates a massive deficit in her ego. She expects men to cling to her. She expects men to fight for her attention. When you refuse to play that game, when you demonstrate that your world continues spinning perfectly without her in it, she is forced to chase you just to restore balance to her universe. You do not win the game by playing harder. You win the game by proving you do not care if the game even exists. You need to absorb this truth, adapt your physical architecture, and brutally enforce your boundaries through silence. Everything else is just noise. Watch this next video on the screen to learn exactly how to rebuild broken attraction with a woman who has already pulled away.